Welcome to Let's Talk About. I'm the Fury. Today with me is Jet
What's up, guys?
and Matt. And today we're going to talk about the PS4.
Yeah, so Sony held a conference not too long ago, and everyone was hyped for it, big time. Everyone wants to see the new console. So everyone thought it was going to be short, sweet, concise. It wasn't. So immediately as they start talking, the Sony heads are going, oh, in the course of the next couple hours, we'll divulge a few things. So immediately what came to mind first for me was they're putting gamers first. Now, they always wanted to be like an entertainment hub, and it just wasn't working out. That's 360's thing. They tried to do the casual crowd with the Move. That's Nintendo's thing. Now they just want to focus on the gamers. You, me, all of us.
It's not like they've been doing that for years with like the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2. That's been their motif, and then they kind of shot themselves in the foot with the PlayStation 3. Priced it way out of the standard income level of the majority of gamers at the time.
Yes.
And forced out a piece of hardware that was a great piece of hardware, but a little ahead of its time, almost Dreamcast-esque.
I felt it was more arrogance on their part. They did so well with the PS2, they thought that, hey, we can have this piece of tech come out and people will buy it. And that $600 price tag was way too steep. I'm probably the biggest PlayStation fan out of the three of us, and I didn't get it. And I admit, I have a tech fetish. I want things on day one, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to split it with my dad to get it. Like, there was no way that I could have possibly afford that by myself. And I was in a place where I had no expenditures. I was working and just making pure money. And I didn't even have enough money, to drop, $600, whatever. I had to split it 50-50. So shows you how exactly their arrogance thinking, oh, we can put, as long as it says Sony, as long as it says PlayStation, we're going to sell it no matter what the price is.
Yeah, so now we're looking at a PS4 with what looks to be more emphasis on games and the gamer.
Right. The next piece that they showed was the controller. Because everyone saw the prototype. It was big and bulky. It had this weird screen on it that people were thinking, oh, the Wii U tablet. No, it wasn't. So they showed the final model, but it'll probably get redesigned again. Just, slim it up.
Boomerang?
Make it look a little neat. Yeah, bring it back. But the new controller has a touchpad. It's not a touch screen. If you're familiar with the Vita, there's a rear touchpad. So it's going to be, if you're looking at something on the screen, and you can correlate that with whatever's on it. Now, you can't see it one-to-one, but you can kind of do it without getting in the way, like if you were playing a Vita game. There's a light bar on the bottom where the USB plug-in is. That's for the Move, which comes with a stereo camera, like the Kinect, which I feel is kind of a gimmick, but whatever. But the biggest thing I feel on the controller is the share button. And with it, you're playing a game, you hit this button, it'll bring up an overlay. The system has been recording what you've been doing for the past 15 minutes. And you can either select a certain screenshot from it, or you can select a highlight reel where you trim what you want to show, or you can just say, hey, I am live streaming. Here we go. So I'm pretty excited about this stuff. I assume Microsoft's going to steal some of it. What do you guys think?
Now, that is an interesting concept. Now, again, this is just a concept. If they can pull this off, where essentially you hit the button and now you can see it on your TV or you see it on the remote and it's just easily accessed, and even better, could sync to a computer. This is revolutionary. This is something I would buy, just purely because of that feature. But we gotta understand at the same time, this reminds me a lot like the Dreamcast. I mean, there was a screen, you had a little adapter in your controller, and how many times did you actually use that screen? Now, if this feature comes live and works, it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be something I use almost every day. But can they make that work?
Well, I mean, the obviously the share thing, that's just going to be part of, everyday life. Social networking and all this stuff is just part of what we do now as a culture. So that's, nothing's too revolutionary there in that sense. The interesting part that is half gimmick for me is the ability to either, live stream or, on the fly kind of select a piece of what you were doing and edit or whatever and publish it somewhere. I'm assuming they'll have some sort of way to share it to YouTube or whatever, however they plan to implement that. I mean, it seems It seems to me that's just trying to. I don't see how they're going to pull that off. I haven't seen quite an implementation like that yet. Maybe maybe they're the first. Maybe they'll be like you said, the Fury Paul is maybe it is revolutionary. Maybe that's what we're looking for is someone to take that step forward. But there's so many different things we have to consider here in the sense that, okay, we're going to live stream, or okay, we're going to upload all this stuff to wherever. There is costs here somewhere. That's going to come out of our pocket somewhere. There's no way that they're just going to offer up a live streaming service for free. Like
To everyone.
To everyone, exactly. It's just not going to happen. And who's gonna moderate that? Is this going to be is PSN going to handle this? Is going to handle the managing all this data? Or are they going to shove it off on like a YouTube or a Twitch or whatever? Like, and then what is there going to be their take? I mean, someone's going to make money, someone's going to lose money here. So where is our money going to go? And how are they going to pull this all off?
As of the conference, all they showed was Ustream, not Twitch, possibly over PSN, but nothing YouTube related, no Twitter, which is kind of surprising because they even had a huge screen, Nintendo style, where it has all their first party games, where it had like all the third party apps, and YouTube and Twitter was not shown. Now maybe that's just a licensing thing where they'll work out a deal between now and launch, but as of this moment, like I said, Ustream or possibly just over PSN.
More importantly, I think we're kind of missing this point where, 15 minutes is a long time. You're going to be able to see the majority of what you just did. But are you going to be able to manipulate that? And if so, how are you going to do it? It's going to store on the console's hard drive? Is there going to be built-in software? Can you export it? It's my data, it's my scene that I just created. How are we going to be able to use that? And if we can manipulate it, or we can at least take it off, are we still going to get flagged on YouTube when we post it up? Because something that VGMU has encountered is a lot of takedown notices, a lot of, this is not your content. When we bought the games, we've got the licenses, we've played them, and, we're just trying to show off our gameplay. Like, how are they going to pull that off? There's a lot of hurdles here, and I'm not convinced. If Sony can pull this off, this is going to be amazing. This is going to put them right back where they were at PS2 status. But so far, I'm not thrilled. I'm not that excited.
Like I'm immediately thinking like what we're doing now. Like I want to stream or I want to show what I'm playing and broadcast it to the site. And that's where my mind's immediately going to, because I don't want to pay for a PVR. That's just too pricey for I don't know how often I'd use it. But if this is built into the system, it'll make streaming to the site 10 times easier for me, because most of my gaming is on the console, not the PC.
Yeah, it's right now to me it just sounds nothing more than a gimmick, and I mentioned this a while back. Going along with who's going to incur the third party costs, where is this bandwidth coming from? Like I understand, like you're gonna take this data from your local network, pass it on the internet. Are we in a place in society where everyone can handle this amount of data we're pushing through? Like if they plan to make this a mainstream like key feature of this console that they want everyone to do, where is all this like coming from? Do we have the architecture in place that we can push this out to everyone and have everyone take advantage of it? Or is this just going to be like the PS3s? Oh, you can install a separate operating system on it. Yay! Like, is no one going to use that?
This is why I'm being so cautious with my excitement. Game companies have promised a lot in the past and failed to deliver. This is just the preview of the console. We will know a lot more at E3, which is just round the bend, and it's going to be a very interesting E3 because now the hockey puck, as it is, has been slapped over to Xbox and Microsoft, and now they've got an announcement coming up here in the next month or two, and they're going to have to hit big with something back, because Sony has just stolen the spotlight completely, and everyone's looking.
Right. Now, moving on into the conference, they started talking about specs. Now, they didn't really go in depth. It was just a big old bullet point, bam, bam, bam. So they were talking about it's going to be x86 based, so it's no longer the cell. So it'll be easier to develop for. They're hoping it'll be the lead design console, just like how the 360 was for this generation. They're going to have a AMD APU, and the biggest surprise that I found was having 8 gigs of RAM compared to the 512 that's in the PS3 as of today. And like the speculation was around 3 to 4 gigs, with at least a gig dedicated to the OS. But having 8 gigs of DDR5 at your disposal should go a long way for the long term.
Right, it's going to it's going to give developers more play with what they can do. With that much memory and a comparatively to last generation's much better graphics card. Well, I'm sure we'll touch on that in a split second. But with that much more power available to the developers, that means they can create textures and create expansive maps and everything in whatever they're doing to much more detailed, to a much greater level than they were ever able to do before. In addition to being able to run more applications and things simultaneously on the operating system itself. So whereas right now, if you were to boot up your PS3 or pretty much any console for that matter, you can only do one thing at a time. You can't play a game, quickly switch to your browser, look something up, then switch back to the game. That's not how it works. It's never how it ever really worked without quitting the one application and going to the other. So hopefully this will open up that arena. I know they already touched on that for Xbox. So that's what they're going to do for the Xbox. We'll see if the PS4 can kind of get that same thing going.
Moving on to some of the other tech specs.
It's all mid-range. It's not going to be high-end because there's no way they can throw that into a $400 box, $500 box, and make it competitive.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously we're dealing with, at maximum $500, box, and you try to go out and build a $500 PC, you can do pretty good. But obviously, exactly like you said, you're not going to see anything high-end. The APU is going to come with an equivalent of the currently the Radeon HD 7850, which is like pretty much dead in the middle of AMD's offerings of graphics card goes, which like I was saying, it's miles better than what we were expecting, or what we came to expect from last generation. So I mean, we're going to see obviously an increase in graphics capabilities. The 7850 can handle pretty much most games right now on 1080p at medium settings. Fine, it'll do great. So that's going to give developers a little more to work with. However, we're looking into the future, and judged based on how long this console cycle lasted, the next one is going to probably last, I would assume, just as long. And midway through that cycle, we're going to start getting into 4K. Now, these graphics cards aren't going to be able to display gaming in 4K. It'll be able to do streaming of movies or whatever and all that stuff in 4K, but it's not going to be able to game in 4K. So I expect to see a very similar thing to what we're experiencing right now. Is they're going to get to the end of the cycle the next time around, and it's going to be, this stuff is going to be ancient, it's going to be terrible, and we're going to be all looking for the next thing. So while it's mid-range, it's good, it's nothing to write home about, but again, you got to maintain that $400, $500 budget, or else, you can't really sell it. So
that brings it to the most important thing then. What games are they looking to have at launch? Like, what did they show off at this conference?
It wasn't any of the heavy hitters. If you think PlayStation, the names that come to most people's minds are Nathan Drake from Uncharted, Kratos from God of War, or Sackboy from LBP, Little Big Planet. Possibly Last of Us, because that's the game that's getting the most hype right now. But at the conference, they showed Knack, which just doesn't impress me. It's like you're this little monster guy. It just seems like every console launch has to have like a little monster thing, running around, platformer, beating up monsters. It looks boring. Killzone they showed, which looks pretty good. It looks very good. I haven't played a Killzone since 2, and I was hoping that they just would have called it Killzone 4. PlayStation 4 had this whole synergy thing. No, it's Killzone, Shadowfall. Another game they showed was Drive Club, because you gotta have a racer. It's the unwritten rule in a console launch, and it's called Drive Club, which seemed kind of neat, where you can have team-based races. So if we wanted us three to create our own team, we can go out and race and compete against other teams around the world. That sounds pretty cool. The graphics was amazing, but that's the way all card games look. Every card game is the best one until the next one. And one of the final games they showed was Infamous. I was kind of a big fan of the series. The first one, didn't really play the second one, even though I have it free through PlayStation Plus. But again, like Killzone, it's not a numbered sequel. It's just Infamous, Second Son. So nothing really groundbreaking, nothing, oh shit, like Last of Us at the E3 previous demo, but I don't know. Just a little lackluster on the games portion. I didn't expect much, being the first conference, but E3 is going to be all the heavy hitters.
So the game that I'm most excited for, again, it was not launched, it was not really even talked about, but it's the new Metal Gear. I'm going to assume that's going to make its way onto the new console.
Yes, either MGS5 or Ground Zeroes. Name your pick. Which like I said, I'm surprised again because Kojima would not be in there for Metal Gear being such a Sony-based game. It's like, yeah, it's multi-platform now, but kind of like Final Fantasy back in the day, it's just synonymous with PlayStation. Metal Gear, synonymous with PlayStation.
That's the reason both of us bought the PS3.
Yes.
That was what we waited for.
Yes, that MGS4 bundle, the 80 gig, the last one that was backwards compatible. That was the one that got me to buy it. I've since upgraded the hard drive to a 500 gig laptop drive, but they showed some more games. The new Jonathan Blow game, the guy that did Braid, which everyone loves. It's kind of Myst-esque puzzle, but linear. Just have you believe like, oh, you can go anywhere, but not really. And then a lot of people are excited for the new Destiny by Bungie. It's like, oh, Sony gets a taste of what Xbox people have been enjoying for all these years.
I got guys at work who cannot stop talking about that Dynasty game. They have pre-ordered it. They went out, pre-ordered it like day one it was announced, and they will not stop talking about it. And this is kind of one of the things that's a problem for me in video gaming. It's just like this absolute bandwagon. I don't care what it is. I'm going to buy it. It's like, let's see some more footage, because there's very little footage out there for this game, and these guys won't stop talking about it. So they're definitely gathering hype.
Oh yeah, being Bungie, yes.
Yeah, it's not what Bungie does best.
You'll find some, what was that stupid marketing, I Love Bees or whatever it was. They'll have some viral thing just like that again. But one of the games I've been really excited for is Watch Dogs by Ubisoft. Now they showed it on current gen back at E3, but a lot of people were saying like, this doesn't look like current gen, it looks like next gen. So played it on the PS4, it looked amazing. Looks really good. The surprise, but not really, this is kind of a bummer, is Blizzard came out and said they had a partnership with Sony. Not meaning exclusive maybe, but we'll see. But they were talking about Diablo 3. And I'm with you guys. Diablo 3, it's done. Maverick can elaborate on his disdain for D3.
I'm sure I've said it a million times. Diablo 3 is a bad Diablo 2 clone, and that's unfortunate because everyone had such high hopes for it. But it's weird because I mean this was probably last year maybe at this point or whenever I remember them talking about like we have Diablo 3 running on consoles right now. So everyone's like, cool story, bro. Like, it didn't really pan out. It kind of makes sense. But it's like, do we need Diablo 3 on consoles? Is this that much of a following? You can make that enough money to make that profitable? I don't really see anyone playing Diablo 3. Maybe I'm just not part of that demographic, I guess. I don't know. But I just don't see... Yeah, okay, a Blizzard partnership is cool and all, but how about some new stuff that's not Diablo 3? Or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see them tapping into a new market. Anyone that was interested in Diablo already played Diablo. I haven't really heard of anyone saying, oh man, I wish I had a PC that played Diablo 3. And I can get a PS4 now and play it.
I was going to say, I have a guy that works for me at work who said the exact words you just said, Jim. I wish I had a PC that could run Diablo 3.
Oh
no.
Now, keep in mind, I work in retail. I'm a manager, and these people are making minimum wage. So it's not like these guys they're tripping over money. But again, I don't think this person is going to go out and buy a PS4 for Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, Diablo 3 came out, I just looked this up, in May of last year. So we're almost on a year at this point. I think Blizzard has gotten so high and mighty with who they are and who they were that they feel that they can produce anything and they will have their fans. I used to be a huge Blizzard supporter. I think everyone here had an active WoW subscription at one point, and check out our video coming up here shortly called Why WoW Sucks. But I do want to say that Blizzard has kind of lost me in the last few years, and this move is just another money grab. Activision, can you please kindly fuck off?
Yeah, I like I said, I could see Blizzard. Okay, we're hyping. Like they could have just left Diablo 3 out and just said, we're producing stuff for consoles. Like, and that would have got me more excited than them saying, "Hey, Diablo 3, by the way." Like, that makes me less
speculating
excited.
what it could have been.
They're trying to throw their weight around, the weight of Diablo at the console, and they think that's going to help sell units. I got news for you. Everyone who's played it, as you guys said, has already played. Now, there is a following. You guys are saying that not a lot of people are playing. There are people out there. Athene, for instance, has constant ties with the community, and they're playing on the hardest settings, and they're trying to farm the gear still, and doing all these fun little, I'm going to kill Diablo naked kind of deal, and all that other stuff. So there are people playing it, but those people people are hardcore PC players. Now, it's very difficult to take away a hardcore PC player to a console, and so this move is not going to convince them.
No, they're not going to get the double dip unless they had some sort of incentive where if you already have it on the PC, we'll subsidize the purchase.
Nope, never going to happen.
That's not
in
going
a
to
million
happen.
years.
I know what they're going to do. Hold on. Blizzard, I'm predicting the future. Blizzard will say, if you buy Diablo 3 on the PS4, you'll get a pet in WoW.
Done.
If you pre-order the next WoW expansion, you'll get Diablo 3 on the PS3 for free.
I'm just saying, that's what they're going to do. You know it. That's how they sell this shit.
Oh, it's terrible. Go home, Blizzard. Just go home.
Watch Dogs looks good, and it's finally like a game that I can actually get behind. I've been looking at the trailers, for the games they've launched or they're saying are going to be at launch. Watch Dogs is very exciting. The fact that you can walk through a city with no mission, no nothing, you don't need to do anything. It's just a real city that reacts to your movements. And you can just act as if, hey, I'm a human today. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to listen in on other people's conversations and go to people watch. That is a good concept. I mean, I don't know why people haven't really tapped into that before. It's going to be interesting to see if it works as well as the trailer seemed to have it work. Other than that, though, we don't know a whole lot about this console. Everything is going to be speculation, and all the new news is going to come out towards E3. So the closer we get to E3, the more we're going to see, and the more, hopefully, we can report.
Yeah,
Right.
honestly, I'm surprised on how the whole thing went, because usually at the console releases, it's almost more about the exclusives or the release games that are come out for the console than it is the console themselves. So, because honestly, at the end of the day, this thing could be run on a Itanium for all I care, but, as long as you get the good games in there, that's what matters. And I'm not saying these games that they said are crappy, but we're all of us been saying, there's not these oh man, I gotta have that game, or the console exclusive amazing games like God of War, and actually the God of War thing I understand. They're already knee deep in the
Ascension.
current. Yeah, they're already knee deep in that, so it's like they can't really be expected to completely pull away from that to do next gen stuff that's not even going to be for another 6-7 months.
No.
So completely understandable on that. So, but all this stuff is cool, but let me see the games that are going to be coming out. Let me see what the developers can do with this next gen power, other than better graphics. That's well and good. Let me see some neat tricks you can do.
Yeah.
Other than that, meh.
Well, Sony has said that all 12 first-party developers are working for stuff on PS4. Now, I wish they would have picked a better game, I guess, a better franchise. I got nothing against Killzone or anything like that, but like you said, it's just I was hoping for something like, oh shit, I can't wait to buy this. I'm excited. Bam. Here's my money that I'm already saving up. It's just waiting. But the most exciting thing I'm thinking of for the PS4 would be the Gaikai streaming related stuff. So Sony acquired them not too long ago for about $350 million. Steep price. Sony is not in the position to just go buy things. They had to really think about it, and they're banking hard on the cloud and streaming. So what they were talking about was having every single PS4 game streamed to the Vita. And not only PS4, but the entire PlayStation library. 3, 2, 1. Now they had a caveat saying eventually, and knowing Sony, that's never going to happen. But the thought is very intriguing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and call bullshit on every conceivable level of that. First of all, yeah, exactly like you said. Eventually, in 2040, we'll have the entire PlayStation 3 library. The Wii, which is, I would say, the best at doing games that Nintendo has produced in the past, doesn't even have the entire collection of Nintendo 64. They have a lot of games, but they don't have the entire collection, and they're more better at doing any of this than either Microsoft or Sony, and they don't even have it all. So it's that's never going to happen. That's just a hook. There's no merit to that at all. The streaming to your Vita and Gaikai, the Gaikai thing, Gaikai on Live, let's face it, great concepts, but failed. There's just no way. The operating costs was ridiculous for both companies. To be able to stream games is just not feasible right now. It's a technology that will definitely be used in the future. Don't get me wrong. We're going there. But home networks don't have the support for it, or most home networks, I would say, don't have the support for it. And these guys, yeah, I guess Sony could probably pull it off because they're a big company. They have, all of this raw power they can throw at it. But the amount of cost that's going to go into it, I just don't see this happening. There's going to have to be some some PlayStation Plus Plus squared, where you pay like $150 a month to get this kind of like thing going. It's just not gonna be something where they can just give to all the consumers.
This is not going to happen, and I'll give you a couple good reasons why it's not. First of all, if you look back one generation on the handhelds, the PSP released a no-disc model where everything was going to be downloaded, everything was going to go. And you know, how well did that do? I worked in retail at the time. Didn't sell very well at all. Did not fly off the shelves. People were still buying the disc version because the whole point, they're easy to get a hold of. The people buying those things for their kids are parents who may not know much about that stuff. They don't understand it. They see a physical media, they understand that, they pop it in, the kid plays. You know, all this extra setup with having to sync and download, you know, that's good for us because we know what we're doing. But that's not good for those guys, and that's unfortunately, that's that handheld market for the most part. Now we're moving into the Vita. Let's look at OnLive. I had a subscription to OnLive for a little bit. It was a great idea, great concept. That company's failing miserably right now, and they're shutting down places all over the place. So the idea of, you know, streaming stuff from somewhere else and not having that on your device, it's a good idea, but it's not actually happening in practice right now. It's too expensive. The bandwidth, all these issues are coming to a head, and we're not ready for it.
Right, but someone's got to try it.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, if anyone's going to be able to even partially pull it off, it's going to have to be a big company with tons of money that they can throw at this. So a Sony or a Microsoft or something like that would be better off than, you know, kind of like a startup company or whatever. So if anyone's going to do it, it's them. But again, like, it's just not going to happen. Not enough people have access to the amount of raw bandwidth and the raw connection speeds that are required to handle this successfully. So how can we expect that, you know, these big companies can put all of this power towards this? Now, within the local networks, we know this can happen. For instance, the NVIDIA Shield. We know that this kind of technology exists within a local network because you can cheaply retrofit your local network to do that kind of thing. But once you start taking that outside into the internet is when you're going to hit the problems. And we're not on a architectural level to be able to do that internet wise, aside from Kentucky, is it, where they have the Google Fiber everywhere, wherever that is. They'll be able to do this. Like, there'll be no problem. They can do this all day. But everywhere else in the United States, it ain't happening.
I'm looking at the price for Google Fiber. If only.
Nice.
Take my money.
Please. But a couple of like little minor details that they were dropping was the idea of personalization, where the console and PSN will cater and know what you want, kind of like Google AdSense, where games will download based off of your preferences. So if you're a big shooter fan and the new Call of Duty's coming out, it'll pre-download to your system and tell you, hey, you can play me, you can try me out, time demo, you can buy me or uninstall.
Who honestly wants that, though? I mean, okay, I have gaming PC. I spend a lot of money on my gaming PC. If there's a game, I look into it. I use Steam constantly. I'm reading the forum. You know, occasionally you're going to miss a game. Yes, it happens. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I booted up my comp today and it started installing random games and said, hey, here's an opportunity to play this game, I would just uninstall that software.
It's too gimmicky for us, but like we've said to each other many times, that's not their target demographic. We are not their target demographics. We're just not. And we're not. We might have been, 10 years ago, but now we're not. And so you gotta put yourself in the mindset of the completely casual gamer who sits down maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week and just wants to play a game. And so they're gonna see, oh, this new game just downloaded. Okay, maybe I'll check it out. It's a demo for 3 hours or whatever. Okay, I'll play that tonight and play a couple hours of it. And then the next day, I really like that game. Let me buy it. Now it's already taken care of. They don't have to re-download it. They don't have to go to GameStop. They don't have to buy it. It's done. It's already on their hard drive. It's ready to go. I can see the benefits to that, but I think the whole we're gonna predict what you like is gimmicky, but I can see both sides. It's really intrusive, just like you said, Paul. Like, I don't want that. Like, exactly. If I put it on my computer and Steam started downloading, I'll be like, oh, hold up. No. It's not how I tell you what to download. Okay, it's not how we do this. Not the other way around.
Exactly. I'm pissed when Steam automatically does one of those, like, oh, you get to play it for the weekend, and it's in my library. That pisses me off.
Yeah, it's
so
not
this
even
would just
downloaded.
Yeah,
It's
Call of
just
Duty
there.
weekends. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I just looked it up. Google Fiber, Kansas City, Kansas.
I'm in. I'm moving.
Guess where I'm moving. If I needed another reason.
Look, but they were also talking about how the console will be somewhat always on, and you can put it into a sleep mode, low power state, where you leave. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I gonna make it to the next checkpoint, whatever. I don't want to leave my console on, and then just end up finding out that all your stuff's erased. Or it'll just power down, pick up the remote, bam, right back to it. Have a neat little thing.
It's definitely cool. I mean, I will say this. There's two parts to this. First of all, next gen Haswell processors on the Intel side will have this kind of thing where it'll be able to access different peripherals like the wireless card or whatever to stay connected to the internet and down information while the computer's in sleep mode or in a really low power state. So like this is definitely a cool technology and will allow you to stay updated and synced even while your console is basically powered off. So that's going to be fantastic for that sense. And then also in the sense that it's on-demand gaming. You don't have to sit. I don't have to hit the power button on my PS3 and wait 15-20 seconds for me to be able to log into my account, and then another 20 seconds to be able to go and start the game. Now it's just like I touch the controller, it's right there. Bam. It comes on the screen. Bam! I can hit the game. I'm going. I'm playing. Which may sound kind of superficial. But hey, we have to acknowledge what the further we get into the future here, the more we expect things to be on demand. Right when I touch it, it needs to go.
Convenience, yeah. They also were talking about where WoW is the biggest game that I know does this, where you can download the game, it hits a section, and you could just start playing. And as you're playing, the game will download in the background. Now, for me, I do a lot of purchases through PSN, and if I am on Wi-Fi, good luck for me trying to download a game. It's powered on, leave it on all night. Oh, it's still downloading? Okay, I'm going to go to work, come back. Maybe it's towards the end. Okay, let me just eat dinner. Oh, okay, now I can play? Great. I could have went to a Best Buy or whatever, bought the game, started playing, instead of just doing it digitally. But being able to play while downloading, nice feature.
Well, that's where the gaming industry's going. This whole not being able to do it. Again, WoW does it the best because you can get to a certain point and play, and the graphics don't look as good, and that's the crucial thing. I would like to throw it to Jet and Maverick here and ask them each what they're most excited for in the coming months for this console release. I'll throw it right over to you, Mav, first.
I'm excited for all the non-PC gamers to go away and play PlayStation 4. I don't care. Honestly, you're not going to see them. They're not going to pull the money out of my pocket. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to say that I'm entirely done forever and ever with console gaming, but I just never had a gaming PC until recently that I could truly rely on to play anything and not worry about it. Now that I have it, I really don't give two shits about the next gen consoles. There are some things that I'm like, oh, I really want to play like God of War or whatever that's going to come out, or a couple other games that I'm like, oh, I really want to play, but it's just not enough for me to drop $400 or $500 for, and yeah, I'm good.
Well, for me, it's Sony's first party. I believe that Sony has the best games on the console. A lot of people say Xbox. So okay, you can play Gears and Halo. I can play Infamous, Killzone, God of War, Uncharted, let alone indie titles. One of my favorites of the past year was Journey, and there's no way you're gonna play Journey on Xbox, because Microsoft just wouldn't allow that type of creativity and how long it took to develop and helping developers.
Whoa!
Yes.
We're getting philosophically involved right now.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes, because for Journey specifically, it was 4 years to make. They told Sony it was going to be 2, and Sony could have easily just said, okay, we're done, cut our losses, bam. No, they kept funding because they believed in them. And Journey came out to high praise of everybody. Sony has a lot of faith in developing their indie community, which is great. Another thing I'm looking forward to is how PlayStation Plus evolves. I didn't really get back into playing my PS3 until I finally picked up Plus. Figured, okay, well, I'm paying for Xbox Gold. I'm paying for the privilege of watching Netflix on that system, but anyway. So going on to the PS3 with Plus, they had an accumulation number of the amount of free stuff and discounts that they gave out, and it was at least over $2,000, easy.
Nice.
My instant library is full of games. Now, most of the games will I play? No. But it's nice having it there, where new month comes in, new weeks go by, boom, PlayStation Network update, PSN update. What am I getting?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It will be interesting to see how that evolves because, I mean, PSN cannot, if they're looking to do all this neat stuff, PSN cannot stay the way it is. It's going to have to evolve just like you said. And I'm surprised they actually didn't really go into it. Like,
No.
that surprises me. Like, this is going to be a radical change in how it's going to have to work. So, what's to come? I guess we'll find out at E3 maybe.
But to wrap it up for me, the biggest disappointments were no price, which I'm not surprised. They had not a firm release date, but they said holiday 2013, which will mean November before Christmas because that's what they want. Nothing about the Vita, which I'm very disappointed. I bought the Vita on launch, and right now it's collecting dust on this time.
So for me, the one thing that really has me excited, the controller, I could almost care less about. It is 2 games, and that's what sells a console in my eyes. Is what you're going to be playing on it. You can have the best console in the world, best computer in the world. If you're not playing anything on it, it's useless. So Metal Gear Solid is what's gonna really push this for me. It's my favorite gaming series, has been over a long time. When I see what that's gonna look like on the and see what you're able to do, most likely just for story alone, I'm gonna buy it. But Watch Dogs, seeing how you could interact, and then the idea of all that RAM and all that power going around with all these people on screen at the same time, and everyone individually acting to different scenarios, that's interesting to me. That's something that's gonna really, I'm going to be looking forward to at E3 and see what they kind of show off. Now, the game's also going to be on regular consoles as well, but let's see if they can really pull it off on this PS4. Does anyone have any last thoughts about, Sony in general? Are you excited about it, or is this kind of a letdown?
Just careful with your gimmicks, Sony. I'm just going to leave it at that. Careful with your gimmicks.
I'm looking at you, Aito.
No, like I said at the beginning, I'm probably the biggest PlayStation fan. I had money saved up for another thing, and I have switched it over, and that's going to be PS4 launch funds, console, games, extra controller. Good to go.
All right, I think that's our final thought. I mean, let's hopefully see some more information coming closer to July over here and see some E3 action. But until we can see that, we have no idea what the future holds for Sony and for the PlayStation 4. But coming to you from VGMU, this is Let's Talk About. This is a conversation for gamers, by gamers, talking about gaming. I was the Fury. With me was Jet. And Maverick.
How do I even follow that? I can't follow that.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in another episode of Let's Talk About.